Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, interesting tweet here recently by Shakur Stevenson. Um, he responds to, I'm trying to remember the tweet right now. He responds to a tweet talking about Kid Austin and the fact that, all these guys have been avoiding. He calls out, I believe it was Shakur, and I think the other person was Keyshawn Davis. And he was basically saying that
Yep.
Kid Austin gave all of them hell and that none of them want to give him a chance right now because he's giving them such problems in training. And, Shakur Stevenson responds that he can get it next. Kid Austin can get it next, given that he believes that William Zepeda is going to actually duck an opportunity to fight Kid Austin. And so he would fight him next in February. And basically he's saying he'd whoop him. And it's interesting that he's talking about Kid. Number one, I wouldn't mind seeing the fight. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see what Kid Austin has. I would like to see, Shakur Stevenson get back into the ring, of course. But I think the thing about it that's interesting, and I believe this is what a lot of fans are going to point to, is the fact that you're calling for a fight against Kid Austin in February. Why not call for a fight against Gervonta Davis? Now, maybe that's due to timing or something else, but you could simply just wait a few months and come back against Gervonta Davis. It's the fight that most fans want to see. Tank has said that Shakur Stevenson's name is quote unquote on the list. Shakur has said that he wants that fight. So make the fight happen. Now, I'm going to provide a counter argument to that, which is, Shakur, I personally believe that there's a couple of reasons why Shakur wouldn't fight Gervonta Davis next. I think, number one, he wants to run up a bag. And he said that since his hand got injured for his fight against Joe Cordina. I think he wants to run up a bag before he gets the opportunity, or at least takes a risky fight against a Gervonta Davis where, potentially you could lose. And I think the other thing is, he may be interested in trying to continue to build his profile. That way, when he does go into negotiation with Gervonta Davis, maybe he can get out a little bit more money out of a situation versus a Tank Davis, whereas today he has very little leverage. So those would be the two counter arguments I would make. I would prefer to see him go and fight Gervonta Davis because, quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing all these narratives that Tank is avoiding this guy or avoiding that guy. It feels like to me right now a lot of fighters are avoiding the opportunity to fight Tank for whatever reason. It's going to be their biggest payday. So I don't know why they're not, stepping front and center and trying to get that fight. But like Lomachenko, we've seen him decline the fight. But it is what it is. I would welcome a Kid Austin fight because I'm just a boxing fan and I would love to see any good fights put on the table. But I just think that fight fans are going to push back against Shakur Stevenson, considering he's looking at a Kid Austin fight versus a Gervonta Davis fight. And again, there seems to be very little criticism hurled at Shakur Stevenson for who he fights, yet there's a lot of criticism hurled at Gervonta Davis for whoever he fights. Doesn't matter who he fights, is always a problem. Jay, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I found it interesting on that because he went instant smoke on that. Keeps saying that. Oh yeah, he also said that him, a Tank Davis, and Shakur Stevenson be the best fight in boxing. Then why are you calling for Kid Austin if Zepeda ducks? And it's not confirmed completely that Zepeda ducked him this time in November. We heard conflicting thoughts on that, between his camp and Zepeda's camp. But I don't like it. I don't like him not calling out Tank in this thing. I mean, I'm like, right now, put all the onus on Tank. Keep pushing on him. Keep putting pressure on him if you want that fight so much. And he says it's the best fight in boxing. I understand you saying he wants to get a bag, which is why he's going to fight Joe Cordina. And then he talks about saying, well, I don't need tune-ups. I can go straight into it. Watch how I cook Zepeda in February. Okay, you don't need tune-ups. You don't need all this. Then get the Tank fight. Maybe only thing I can think for another argument to push back on that is the fact that he did sign a deal with Matchroom, and Zepeda is supposed to be his next fight. Someone on that side, I guess, quote unquote, street or whatever. That could be a reason, but forget all that, man. That's the fight everyone wants to see, Tank and Shakur. To your point, being a boxing fan, I'll watch the Kid Austin fight all day.
For sure.
It'll be interesting, see how that goes for him being a youngin in the game, not as experienced as Shakur, and see how Shakur handles it with that, But the fight we all want to see is just Shakur and Tank. We all want to know that, but Shakur should get some type of pressure, some heat for being so vocal about this and being quiet about Tank.
Yeah, I just want to see him push for the fight as well. Like, I've seen people that support Shakur Stevenson saying that he's always asked for the fight and how many times he got asked for the fight. I mean, similarly, we saw David Benavidez put pressure on Canelo Alvarez. Now, of course, that didn't work. But Canelo has never been on record stating that he was going to fight David Benavidez. The difference is Gervonta Davis is on record stating that he would fight Shakur Stevenson. And so I don't know why there isn't more pressure put outside of what I just mentioned. I think he wants to run up a bag. I think he wants to run up his profile. And honestly, from a business standpoint, I wouldn't necessarily be mad at that in regards to Shakur Stevenson. My whole thing is this, like, just stop within the fake narratives. And I'm not talking necessarily about Shakur. I'm talking about the fans. Oh, why Tank hasn't done this? Why Tank hasn't done that? Well, it could be partially due to the fact that Shakur Stevenson has other plans. Has anyone thought about that? He might just simply have other plans. He's quote unquote chasing greatness. I get all that. And the reason why we point those things out, it's not necessarily to cook Shakur Stevenson. It's really to highlight to his fans, what are we talking about here? You're talking about a guy that's saying he's chasing greatness, yet the greatness is in Gervonta Davis, the other fighter that universally is thought of as the other greatest 135-pound fighter in the division right now. So if that's the case and you're chasing greatness, you're chasing that fight. And I mean, you're chasing that fight over a cliff if you have to, because you're chasing greatness. Now, if you're chasing the business aspect of it, I'm not mad at that either. I mean, you're getting a couple of dollars to go ahead and build your profile. Hey, man, nothing wrong with that. But let's stop the narrative that one thing is happening, and that one thing is, oh, it's Gervonta Davis as the reason why this fight is not happening, and not necessarily Shakur Stevenson. We got to stop narratives like that when it's clear that a fighter is not necessarily pushing for a fight to that extent.
Facts. It's the hate. You know, they call people Tank maniacs and all this craziness. But if you support Tank or anything, but if you support boxing, you should want Tank and Shakur. You should want Shakur trying to put Tank's feet to the fire and vice versa, not just one-sided.
No, I totally agree with that. So we'll see what ends up happening here if he ends up facing Williams Zepeda in February. I like that fight too, but at the same time, I haven't been very critical of Shakur's opponents, and I haven't been very critical of Gervonta Davis' opponents. I mean, I think they've all fought who has been pretty much available to them. I still think out of those fighters, Devin Haney probably has the best resume, but you know, it is what it is. I don't focus too much on their resume. I'm just focused on those two individuals getting in the ring. So you guys tell us what you think in the comments section in regards to the comments that Shakur Stevenson made relative to Kid Austin. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, M Sports Media, and we are out.